Jury deliberations in the murder trial into Manny Ellis's death had to restart today after an alternate juror had to step in.
Court officials say a juror had a family emergency and had to be taken off the case. This comes after a long weekend. 3 Tacoma police officers, they are still waiting to learn their fate after months of back and forth in the courtroom. There were also questions about whether or not jurors followed the rules or if they watched coverage of the trial. Fox 13's Alejandro Guzman joins us live from Pierce County Court. Ali, what does this mean in terms of reaching a verdict?
Well, it doesn't seem like we're that much closer. I mean, we can only speculate at this point, but what we can say is that all the work that jurors started last week simply came undone because once that alternate was asked to step in, the judge ordered them to restart their deliberations all over again. And as we've heard legal experts say, reaching a verdict could take them days, if not weeks.
I felt like it was an obligation, perhaps, but I don't know the rules or the laws, and I didn't want to sit on something that could potentially incriminate myself.
One of the biggest concerns in this Pierce County courtroom, whether or not a juror watched news coverage of the trial in the death of Manny Ellis.
This may be the tip of an iceberg, and hopefully it's nothing, and it could very well be nothing.
The juror allegedly mentioned the officers charged in Manny Ellis' death were on paid leave, which is unclear if it was mentioned in court.
That statement alone, I'm not sure it's prejudicial, but what was more troubling is the possibility that they had that information because they've been reviewing some kind of reports on the subject of the trial, in which case there may be more involved. So I think we need to talk to the juror.
The juror brought out in question openly as both state and defense teams weighed in on the issue.
During deliberations on Friday, you indicated to some of the other jurors that you understood that the officers in this case were all on paid leave. Do you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember how you came to that information?
How does it state your report?
A sigh of relief for Judge Brian Shushkiv, who ultimately said the juror will remain on the panel. Yet the jury deliberated half the day Monday when they were forced to restart after a juror had to be relieved due to a family medical emergency. The jury is still composed of 7 men and 5 women. It's on track to make a decision about these 3 officers, Matthew Collins, Christopher Burbank, and Timothy Rankin, accused in the death of Ellis, who was killed during an arrest in Tacoma in 2020. Collins and Burbank were first to encounter Ellis and are charged with second-degree murder. Rankin is charged with manslaughter. As Fox 13 previously reported, there are several outcomes we could see. The jury can choose to convict the officers, acquit them, or a combination of the two.
It's going to take them, I would say, days, maybe weeks. And I think there's a high likelihood that they're going to come back hung. And I think the first time that happens, the judge is going to say, go back and try harder.
Now, deliberations have wrapped up for the day, but if a decision is not reached by Friday, the earliest we can anticipate hearing a verdict could be as soon as January. In Pierce County, Alejandro Guzman, Fox 13 News.